Okay. Hi. My name is Ava, or Avery for those who do not know. Some of you may know me from my other YouTube channel. It's linked down below. I created this channel that you're seeing this video on almost a whole year ago, and it only has one video on it. I really wanted to start up this channel again for myself, but also for others who are suffering or living with a chronic illness and having to live with celiac disease, because I have multiple diseases and disorders, and I thought that a channel like this could help people who have stuff like me to feel less alone. So I hadn't really prioritized this channel literally at all. I just thought it would be something fun to do every now and then. But recently I had the worst chronic illness episode in my entire life, and I thought I would share that story with y'all today. If you don't know, I have a chronic illness called postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. People call it POTS for short. It is a blood regulating disorder where blood pools to my lower extremities, so like my feet and my hands, so my blood does not regulate correctly. The main side effect for POTS is fainting. If you would like to know my whole story about me being diagnosed and what chronic illnesses are in general, if you're not familiar with the term, if you're not familiar with POTS whatsoever, I will link down below my diagnosis story. It's on my other YouTube channel, but I will link it down below, and let me know if y'all would be interested in me uploading it here or making a whole entire new video for y'all on this channel. Essentially, I am going to be talking about today what it is like having a POTS episode, or a flare-up in my case. I use those terms interchangeably. A flare-up and an episode are kind of just the same thing for me, and so I'm gonna be talking about the experience that I had a week ago. It's still a week after my whole experience, and I am still a little foggy. I have a lot of brain fog, and I have a lot of memory loss in the past week, and this past week was Christmas. So I honestly don't remember a lot that has happened in the past week. I don't really remember Christmas. I don't remember Christmas Day all that much. I remember snippets here and there throughout the week. Just so you know, every person who has POTS has a different severity of it. Not everyone has the same kind of POTS. That goes for all chronic illnesses as well. Every person, even though they have the same chronic illness, does not mean they experience the same things. My experience is way different than other people's, but I am here to help other POTS sufferers. I don't know. I kind of consider it as I'm suffering through it, but also I do live with it, and it is me. Like, that is who I am, is having POTS. That is part of who I am as a person, so it is what it is. I can also be detrimental to my own chronic illness, okay? So an episode for me for POTS is fainting. Like, that's what I call a flare-up, or an episode is me passing out. My severity of POTS is different than other people. I follow a lot of people on TikTok who also have POTS, and YouTube who have POTS, and they sometimes faint every single day, or at least once a week, or at least once a month, or it's very regularly, and they faint at least 10 times a day, and they're not even allowed to drive. Mine is very different. Mine is very sporadic. I never know when it's gonna happen, and I never know the cause of me having a flare-up, or an episode, or a fainting spell, whatever you want to call it. For this video's sake, I'm just gonna call it a episode. I never know when one is going to happen. Mine are not regular at all. The one that I had before, this most recent one, happened 2 months ago, and before that it had been more than 6 months before that, before my last one, and before that it was a whole year. So I never know when one is going to happen. I have come to the realization that my chronic illness is changing, because for the past 2 episodes that I have had, I have fainted more than once in one day, which before my last episode 2 months ago had never happened before. 2 months ago, when I had my episode, I fainted twice in one day, and I almost fainted 2 more times, which I have never even almost fainted more than once in one day before. It was very shocking this past episode that happened last week, because I fainted a total of 5 times in one day, which is very unheard of for me, and kind of scared me a little bit. My chronic illness is also changing in the fact that I've developed another symptom the past 2 episodes that I have had. So the past 2 times I've fainted more than once in one day. Nausea has been a huge one. I have never before at this point suffered this much nausea during an episode, and I never have it any other time. Like, I'm never nauseous really, except for in cars, I get very bad motion sickness. The nausea that I experienced these past 2 flare-ups and episodes have been utterly horrible. Like, I am scared for whenever I get pregnant later on in life, because I never want to experience nausea like that, because it is horrible. So that is another new symptom for me. I don't know why my chronic illness is changing, but it is. I'm going to be telling the story about what happened to the best of my ability. Again, I have horrible memory loss. It's one of my side effects for my flare-ups and episodes is I can't remember almost anything, especially what I say. Whatever I say during an episode will be gone from my memory the next day. I will fall asleep and wake up and not remember a word that I said, or most of what was said to me. I can maybe remember snippets and things that happened to me, like sitting up in bed or throwing up or being carried to the car. So like, I remember things like that. I don't remember a word probably of what I said or what someone said to me. So the first chunk of this video is going to be talking about what possibilities or what things might have happened to spark this episode. So how did it start? Like I said before, I never know what sparks an episode. It could be a multitude of things, and it has never been the same thing twice. Like, I have even had episodes in my sleep. I have fainted sitting on the couch. I have fainted because I stood up too fast. I have fainted for a multitude of reasons. It is never the same thing every single time. And so I also never know what happened. I don't have a tracker of my body to tell me what happened to my body every single time I faint. And also, they're so random that it's not easily trackable, and we don't know when the next episode will be, so it's really hard to track when the next one will happen and to monitor me. And so here are some things that may have led up to it. So this episode that I'm talking about happened on the 23rd of December, and so the whole past week before that, I had been studying for my teaching content exam. I was studying for my teacher certification for my degree, and I took it around December 20th, I want to say. I don't remember the exact date, but that whole week leading up to it, all I did was study. That's all I did was study, do nothing else. So I was really stressed out about that. I found out my results for the exam the night before I fainted, so on the 22nd, and my heart rate that night was really bad, really skyrocketing. I was literally sitting down with a heart rate of 160 because I was so nervous and so anxiety-ridden and so stressed out about this exam, because it was a hard exam, and any teacher out there knows how hard teacher certification exams are, and so I was totally stressed out about that. Luckily, I passed, but my heart rate was skyrocketing, obviously. I also rewarded myself with a big bowl of ice cream. Maybe the sugar affected me that night. Before I got my results, before I came home that night, my mom and I went to the grocery store, and I had been complaining about how potsy I had felt, how my feet had been feeling very heavy, and I could feel the blood pooling in my feet, and it hurt to walk. Like, it hurt and just did not feel good to walk. And then I got an ice pick headache at the grocery store as well. It's where you basically feel like you have an ice pick jammed in your head, kind of headache. And so there were just, I think, some things that like warned me to it. I think the way I felt at the grocery store warned me as to what was happening, and so I talked to my mom about how next time I feel this way, I need to go sit down somewhere. Even if I'm in a grocery store, I need to go lay down in the car, because I really don't want another episode to happen, even though it will happen. But I'm trying to take as many precautions as possible for the next one not to happen. But anyway, there were a multitude of things that could have sparked this episode, and I have no idea what it was. It just happened. Now we're getting into the actual episode, the flare-up, what happened during that day. I ended up waking up around 3 o'clock in the morning on the 23rd. My mom has a very sporadic sleep schedule, and so she was already awake for the day at 3 a.m. She goes to bed really early, and so she could hear me from the living room, but I don't remember a lot, but I was screaming for help and telling her I was having an episode. That's all I told her. I was burning on fire. I had a heater on with me. I sleep with all of the dogs, and even one will not fall asleep unless he's under the blanket with me. And I had 2 blankets on me. I was sweating my butt off. And whenever I have an episode, there's this horrible ringing in my ears, and whenever I wake up from an episode, or right before I faint for an episode, I don't know where I am, or who I am, or what the heck is going on. It's like I am a person waking up for the first time knowing no memory of the entire world. Like, it is scary in that fact of like, I have no idea who I am. Where am I? Who am I? Like, that part is probably the scariest part for me with episodes. It does take me a minute or two to remember who I am as a person, and I think that part's probably one of the scariest things that I have to go through. I don't like doing that at all, obviously. Anyway, my mom's able to calm me down. I drink some water, and then I go back to sleep. Also, there's obviously more things going on, but again, I have horrible memory loss. That's a side effect for my fainting, and so there's possibly more things said or more things done during this time, but I don't remember them. And so I end up falling back asleep, okay? And then I wake up around 9 o'clock, I want to say, the next morning, and I feel totally fine. I wake up, I'm walking around, I go to the restroom, I tell my mom how, like, that was really weird last night. That's, like, the 4th time I've ever had an episode in my sleep before. And she was like, oh, maybe it was just a dream. You never know. And I was like, no, I know what one feels like. That was not a dream. I feel totally fine, right? I go and eat some breakfast, my typical breakfast that I eat. And then when I'm done, I go and lay down because I was about to finish a audiobook I was listening to. And so I'm playing a game on my iPad while listening to an audiobook. I faint again. While laying down. And it's really weird to describe because I don't really remember my episodes, and it's really bizarre to explain. Like, I can't verbalize how it starts. It's really weird. I remember talking to some people about how I feel when an episode is about to happen, and it is weird to describe, and I don't know if I can put it into like enough words, but essentially it's weird to say, but I get a sense of deja vu, and I'm like, I have listened to this before, I've heard this before, and then the ringing will start and the memory loss will start and I will faint. And it takes me like a split second. It does not take me long. Like, all those thoughts will happen in the span of 1 second. And so I find it really interesting and fascinating when I watch TikTokers who have POTS or YouTubers who have POTS, and they're able to film their episodes. Like, they can feel it coming on, turn the camera on, and faint in front of the camera for their doctors so they can see what happens. And I'm like, how do you have enough time? Like, I do not have enough time to do that. Like, once I feel one coming on, it's gone. I'm out. Anyway, I wake up from that episode, and from that point on until the rest of the day, I am completely nauseous. Like, feel like I'm gonna throw up at any time. And so I yell for my mom. She comes and helps me. I try to drink some water. I tell her to give me a throw up bag because I'm gonna need one because I just ate breakfast. Like, I ate breakfast like 30 minutes ago. I'm going to throw it up. I don't really remember what happened in the span between my 2nd episode of the day to my 3rd one, but the 3rd one happened after I gotten back from the restroom. I walked to the restroom, came back, was sitting crisscross applesauce on my bed, and had the dog in my lap, and I felt one coming on, and I literally screamed because the door was open. My mom was sitting in the living room. She could see me from my room, and I literally screamed, "Here comes another one," and I faceplant into the bed. My mom comes, wakes me up, and again, I don't really remember all that's going on or remember what happened to me, but I do remember laying on my side on the opposite side of the bed from where my pillow is, just face in the mattress, and telling my mom, like, what if I get my supplements in me because I'm deficient in a few things like iron, I'm anemic, and so I was like, maybe I just need the supplements in me. But I was really scared to take my supplements because my previous episode, right after I took my supplements, I threw up, and I hate throwing up. It's one of the worst things ever about being sick. I hate it. I fear it. I fear throwing up. And I was like, I don't want to throw up. I have to get like some food in me because last time I took my pills without any food in me, and that's why I threw up. And so my mom gave me a granola bar. I could barely eat half of one, but I was like, this is gonna have to do because I need to take these pills. And so I ate half a granola bar, took the pills, laid down for a little bit. My mom had to go somewhere. I don't know where, but she had to go somewhere really fast. So it was just me and my dad in the house. I turned on a TV show because I fall asleep watching TV shows. That's the only way I can fall asleep, is watching a show of some sort or a movie. And so I put on Gilmore Girls. My mom and I are rewatching it currently at that time. I was watching Gilmore Girls, and I fainted again. And so I called my dad. The main reason why my parents got me an Apple Watch is not for the aesthetics or because I wanted one. It's for the safety of it. Because I can literally, at a touch of a button, tell my watch to call my parents, which has happened many times in my episodes when I am not around them, because he was in the garage. And the last time I was towns away in my college town, and I called them at 6 o'clock in the morning, last episode that I had. I am not within reach of my phone, and so this watch has saved me multiple times. And so I call him on my watch to come in, and then I had another episode, so that was 4 at this point. I was basically incoherent and babbling and inconsolable, like could not move. My parents said I looked white as a sheet, like I looked ill, like I looked horrible. Like I looked like I was dying, and I felt like I was dying. I did. I felt like I can't move an inch of my body. Like I feel awful. My mom came home soon after that. My dad told her how horrible I looked and how sick I looked, and at this point I'm just hanging over the side of the bed with my face in a sack. I'm like, I will feel better when I throw up. I need to throw up. And granted, I hate throwing up. It's a big fear of mine. So for me to say I will feel better after I throw up and embrace it, that's how horrible I felt. And so my mom takes one look at me and goes, I need to take her to the hospital. And so I did go to the hospital. I've been to the hospital a couple of times because of my chronic illness, more so in the beginning of my diagnosis. So it has been years since I've had to go to the hospital because of my POTS. I could barely move any part of my body whatsoever, because I felt like if I moved at all, I was going to faint again. Like that's how woozy and dizzy and nauseous and unsafe I felt. I could barely move anything. My mom had to get me dressed, put a bra on me, a shirt, pants, socks, shoes. She had to put everything on me. Her and my dad had to help me stand up and walk and basically shuffle me as slow as possible to the car. I had to make them stop a couple times because I was almost throwing up the entire walk over there. We got in the car and I had the sack with me the entire time on the verge of throwing up. I had to make my mom have all the windows down. And one thing that helps me not faint again is being distracted by somebody else. And so I was telling my mom, talk to me, tell me a story, talk to me, say something so I can focus on that instead of having deja vu. Because if I think I have deja vu about something and her talking distracts me, I feel like I won't faint. I'm honestly always petrified of getting deja vu in any sense of the word because I always associate it with a fainting spell. And so I hate getting deja vu. So we get to the hospital and a nurse comes out with a wheelchair. Well, my mom goes in and tells her what's going on, and the nurse comes out with a wheelchair. While we're sitting in the lobby, my mom is doing paperwork, and I look at her. I remember looking at her and saying, I don't feel good. And she was like, what's wrong? And so she stands in front of my wheelchair so I don't faint over onto the floor. And she stands in front of me, and I hold that bag and blow chunks. In the hospital lobby, and I did feel way better after I threw up, but I hate it. I hate it so much. They went me back to a room, and I was there for a couple of hours, honestly. The doctor took blood samples, a pee sample, and they monitored me for a little bit. They gave me 1 bag of saline to put some hydration in me because apparently I was dehydrated because I was throwing up and I couldn't keep anything down, even water. Like I could not stomach taking a sip of water at all. And so they also gave me nausea medicine through my IV bag thing because I was still not feeling great. I felt better after I threw up, but not good at all. The results for my test came back normal for everything. Basically, we wanted to make sure nothing else was wrong with me because it's very abnormal for me to faint 5 times a day, and so we were hoping nothing else was wrong with me. When the IV bag was done, I went to the restroom because that is 1 whole bag of fluid pumped into your body, so you gotta pee. And so right when I came back, I was sitting in the bed and I tell my mom, I start feeling faint and dizzy and a sense of deja vu, and I tell my mom, talk to me, talk to me, talk to me, because I feel another coming on, and next thing I know, I wake up with 5 different faces I do not know above me. And not knowing where the heck I am, who I am, like it's the constant memory loss thing of waking up from an episode. And I had fainted again in the hospital. That was the first time my mom had ever seen me faint. I've always told her about my episodes, but she has never like physically seen me pass out before. She's always seen the after effects of it, or hasn't ever seen one at all. I just tell her when it happens. But that was the first time she literally saw me knock out. And the sad thing was, I was about ready to go home again. Like, right when I get back to the restroom, they were like, okay, we're gonna send the doctor in, and then like we'll check you out and you'll be good to go home. Like, cool, fun. But then after I fainted again, they packed another bag of saline through me. So I had to stay even longer so they could put more fluids in me. I had my mom constantly talk to me and distract me so I did not faint again. The whole entire time I was there, I was very brain foggy and disoriented, and was on the constant verge of fainting again when I was there. Then I was done with the second bag and I went to the bathroom again with 2 people walking with me there. Went very slow. Had my mom stay in the restroom with me because I was scared of fainting again, and came back with the same thing, came back really slowly. And then in order to go home, they sat me up in the bed in increments, in like a minute increments, and then transferred me to a wheelchair and wheeled me out to my mom's car. The doctor ended up giving me some nausea medicine because the medicine they pumped through me was wearing off already. So they gave me, I think it was Zofran. It was Zofran? I don't know. But they gave me four pills to take if I was nauseous. When we got home, my parents had to grab both my arms and shuffle me into the house, and I laid down on the couch. My dad had made some rice and broccoli for me because one of my favorite meals, and hopefully I could stomach it. So I had the smallest portion of rice ever and some broccoli, and I took one bite immediately, and I was like, you have to give me that nausea pill right now or I will throw up. And so I took one of the nausea pills and ate as much as I could, as much as my stomach would let me. I hadn't eaten anything that day. Anything that I ate, my breakfast that I ate that day, I'd thrown it up. I'd thrown up everything that I'd eaten that day, and I was hungry, but my nausea was so bad I didn't want to eat anything. I stayed up for a little bit watching a movie with them, and then went to bed. I was honestly scared to go to sleep because my episode, the first episode that I had that day, was in my sleep. But I ended up falling asleep. Anyway, my mom woke me up in the middle of the night to check on me, and I was completely fine. I woke up the next day feeling much better, and had no episodes after that. The next couple of days, like this past whole week since the episode, I've been taking it really slow and slowly gaining my strength up again and slowly eating and eating more. Anytime after I throw up, I never really want to eat all that much because I don't want to throw it up. And so I'm just now getting into the groove of like eating full meals again after a whole week. But it is a week later and I am much better now. I was able to slowly walk up the stairs here, which would not have happened even 3 days ago for me. My heart rate has been very high recently. I was walking outside and it got pretty high and I had to go lay down for a little bit. I've been sitting as much as possible, not overexerting myself. And I've just been learning that I have to be more cautious with myself, I think, with my pot. I think it's also weird because my episodes are so sporadic and they're never normal that sometimes I get imposter syndrome and I feel like, oh, I shouldn't be diagnosed with this disorder. Like, I don't normally faint. Like, it just happens randomly. Like, it's not a common occurrence. It happens every now and then. And I get a really bad imposter syndrome. And I'm like, do I actually have chronic illness? Because I haven't felt an episode in a long time. And I forget what it does to my body when it hasn't happened in a while. It's honestly really scary when it happens. And I have to learn how to treat my body better, I think. After that whole occurrence, I had to start thinking about what I'm going to be doing now. What am I going to be doing now with my life? What am I going to be doing now because of what happened to me? One thing is this channel. I really want to dedicate some time and energy into this channel. I renamed it, by the way. It's now called The Chronically Ill Celiac. I love it. It used to be called, I think, The Celiac Queen, but I think I want to incorporate chronic illness stuff as well as celiac related stuff too. I really like the new channel name and rebranding. It was really fun to make all of the new channel art and everything. I have a few things that I will hopefully be starting in the new year. We want to be finding more, my mom and I want to be dedicating some time to find more doctors that could help me and assist me because I haven't been to a doctor, like a general doctor that knows me really well, my chronic illness, in a very long time. We were talking about maybe going back to physical therapy because physical therapy did help me in high school when I was first diagnosed. And one big thing that I'm going to be doing is making a P.O.T.S emergency kit for myself. And I think I'm going to be making a whole entire video about that very soon, about what I'm going to be putting into that and what will help me with the P.O.T.S emergency kit. I was telling my friends how even though this episode that I just had, I fainted 5 times and I even went to the hospital and like that was all traumatic and everything, but this experience was way less traumatic for me than the previous one I had 2 months ago. And that was because I was alone. I was in my college town. I don't have a car. My sister, who lives in the college town with me, she was working and had schoolwork and had other things going on in her life. I was utterly by myself and I had no support. I had no one to help me, and I decided to make a kit for myself that I can put next to my bed whenever I have another episode to help me. So like things would be in there like electrolyte drinks, a barf bag, nausea medicine, like things like that that I can access myself and will be readily available to me in case I do have an episode. And so I will be putting together that kit very soon and hopefully filming it for you to watch if you would be interested in that. But yeah, that was my whole experience. But I really wanted to make this video to help other people feel less alone if they have P.O.T.S or if they have a similar chronic illness to mine. You're not alone. Even though our severities may be different, I feel you and I understand you. Let me know down below what other videos you would like to see from me. I would love to know and give any assistance or advice or experience story times that you would like. But yeah, thank y'all so much for watching. I will see y'all soon in my next one. Bye y'all.